Don't care. CS2's new Nuke Analysed. I'm down.
Nuke has come to Counter-Strike 2
So sexy.
the biggest map overhaul yet, according to Valve's own overhaul system, which deems the maps we've had already like Dust 2 and Mirage to be minor overhauls, whereas Nuke is considered an upgrade, with new Source 2 lighting and PBR materials and reflections. And I agree with that. The outline of everything is very similar, but the surfaces themselves have been overhauled. Stick your face up to almost any texture on this map and its improved materials are clear to see. The tarmac now has intricate patterns to its cracked surface, almost everything's shiny in some way, and Source 2 is finally capable of displaying the colour red. When we look back, CSGO's surfaces just look browny orange in comparison.
Wow.
I have another video showing before and afters if you'd like to take your time to study these changes without listening to my voice. Pay attention to the ambient sounds, which have also changed. The rest of this video will cover the other things that I've noticed. Check out the shadows behind this stuff here. Now look at them here. Both of these examples are from CS2, and yet there's very clearly a difference between how these shadows are rendered, with this second example looking worse and more pixelated and blocky. This,
That's how my CS2 looked like, no?
believe it or not, is Source 2's new lighting, bringing the real-time lighting that CSGO used to have outside indoors. As you're running down Nuke's corridors, look down and you can make out these shadows around your feet, sometimes even seeing two different shadows at once. I'm a little bit sad they're so visibly blocky. The technology has been around to blur the look of these kinds of shadows for over a decade now, but it does at least bring some of the shadows indoors up to outdoors real-time quality, and could affect gameplay by having your shadows give away your position before you turn a corner. These sorts of shadows don't appear until you reach the high shadow setting, and they don't line up with where the lights appear to be in the room.
Ooh, I don't like that. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that you have to turn, that you have to switch a setting in order to see something that may be giving you an advantage. You know what I mean? Like this right here, you can see the fucking shadow of someone hiding behind the corner. If you have your fucking settings on low, you don't see it if you have a bad PC. If you don't have a 4090.
Instead, they're from an extra light entity that's represented in the map's reflections as a white ball. It means you get slightly unnatural results. Like in this room, you'd expect there to be 3 different lights and thus 3 different shadows, but there's actually just one bright one in the middle. But Valve doing it this way does mean that they can easily shift the position of these lights and thus shadows that are cast, should they interfere with.
Oh my god, that's visible.
Yo.
And imagine now you're the guy that has a bad PC and thought, oh yeah, let me turn all the settings on low. Nah. And then your teammates, you see him.
In a negative way. There's an especially bright light under the ground in bombsite B, which will cause your character to cast a massive shadow on the ceiling when he's stood in the centre of the site. So there's one of these real-time shadow casting things present in almost every room of Nuke, and it does reveal a player's position in some very important spots. Here he is in this example. And here's a player shadow giving away his position here as well.
Wow.
Even the sunlight in bombsite A is done using these real-time lights. Look at this! At medium or low shadow setting, this player shadow doesn't appear at all. I don't know what Valve's going to do about this. It seems like a major oversight from them. They're either going to have to make it so that the character shadows are projected at all shadow qualities, or at none at all. Or a third option would be to have some weird cutoff where the shadow fades out early, like it seems to be doing in this doorway for reasons I'm not sure of just yet. But I do hope they keep these shadows in, because it looks kind of sad without them. So I guess that's the biggest change to the gameplay. They also removed this bench from the middle of locker room, as it did obstruct movement.
Good.
We're quickly going to take for granted how much of an improvement the materials in Source 2 are, so time for a quick reminder of how bad it used to look. Look at this shiny metal fence material. Doesn't seem too hard to do right, does it? Yet CSGO gave us this weirdly plasticky looking metal instead, with fake looking sheen lines on it. Again, the new one looks like metal, complete with blemishes and reflections. The old one looks like an old grey plastic texture. This example's even better because CSGO appears to have all the new fancy effects on these things already. Its pipes are shiny. And as we move the camera about, the reflections on the walls highlight the many bumps and imperfections with the material. Even the sign has a reflective sheen to it, indicating to us that it's a smooth, flat surface.
It doesn't. Am I the only one? Sometimes I watch a streamer. Like today, for example, yesterday I tuned into Trilux's stream. And sometimes I'm unsure. Wait, is he playing CSGO or CS2? I'm not even kidding. And always I then realize, aha, the HUD like at the bottom can't be CS2. I'm not even kidding. CSGO looks so good. Sometimes I think maybe it's because they have some filters on their stream or whatever. I'm telling you, bro. Like he was playing Nuke or something. I was like, no shot. Is he playing CS2? Same? Okay, good.
Doesn't seem like anything's missing.
Maybe some OBS filters though.
from this example. So you
That make it
wouldn't
look better.
imagine that CS2 would help improve this much. Yet it does. Now it helps that the reflections of stuff, instead of just being white streaks, now seem to represent the room that they're reflecting. And for those of you who worry CS2 makes everything too shiny, you can breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that the wall, being the bulk of this area, is now significantly less shiny looking than it was before. So it's not that Source 2 makes everything more shiny, it's just capable of being much shinier should it need to be, depending on the material something's made out of and the current lighting conditions. And it's not like it just applies this effect to an object and is done with it. The way in which a single surface interacts with the lighting can vary, depending on whether there are greasy fingerprints or surface scratches, or even what the underlying materials are made from. The white bits of this sign are much shinier than the blue bits, for example. And it's also how all this stuff interacts with the improved shadows. These massive curved concrete structures really do it for me. To see that long, intricate edge where light finally meets dark. And the structure seems to be made of a standard concrete material and doesn't appear to have any fancy lighting effects applied to it. Yet
this spot right here just reminds me of the Nate King challenge. The Nate throwing boss, you already know, bro. If you remember, you remember. Throw a nade, it has to be at the highest spot. A smoke grenade, zack, zack.
you it under the right conditions and suddenly
Want a challenge on easy mode.
it'll light up like
Don't
a Christmas
remember?
tree,
Come
but only
on,
the
man.
bits that aren't in shade. It just appears to work under any lighting condition. But it's all this stuff combined that, without changing the map itself, has helped transform this dated, last-gen look of CSGO into something that's now truly beautiful.
Wow.
But there is a serious issue that needs addressing here, because Nuke is too clean and shiny looking. It looks brand new, with every floor waxed, every sign polished, and not a hint of dust, even up in the ceiling rafters. There's no wear and tear to this map at all. This power plant is in pristine condition. If you ask me, this is Valve getting carried away with the new PBR materials, having been constrained by Source 1 for decades. And they've chosen to splurge it all out on this one particular map, because if we look at all the others like Dust 2, Mirage, and even the brand new leaked Inferno images, these all look about as dry and as dusty as a nun's sandcastle. So just like the PBR surfaces themselves, I expect Source 2 to provide more extremes and variety in the types of maps that we can expect to see, and Nuke is an example of a shiny one. This shininess sometimes works against itself, mind. Because we can clearly see that some of the cube maps aren't fully aligned, meaning that the stuff in the water's reflection outside doesn't always match up with where it should be, and the same with some of the reflections of larger rooms indoors, and especially outside when you're peering into the windows around Bombsite A. That being said, I do appreciate how bright the sun's sparkle can look now. It looked way too muted in Source 1, and it makes me happy every time I see it glowing in Source 2. And I don't mind too much about these skewed reflections, as they're giving a lot of image quality for very little slowdown, which everybody should be happy about. And as you can see when I turn the corner and look into this reflection instead, if they're properly set up, then they don't look too bad. The SWAT vehicle at CT Spawn has received a new model and a much more colourful design. These cooling towers have been moved further away from the map. The crashed truck at T-Spawn no longer steams, and it looks in pristine, shiny condition. Valve, please fix. It's especially weird given that some things, like the cooling towers and vents around the map, now emit a new, somewhat 3D looking steam effect. And no matter how far I fly away from the map, it all remains visible. In CSGO, all of the individual objects had manually configured distances where they would start to fade out of existence, which made a lot of the flybys I did in my videos look buggy and distracting. Clearly, this fade out didn't just annoy me, it annoyed Valve too, so much so that they personally sent me some console commands to keep their maps looking nice in my videos. But like you can see here, object fade out no longer seems to be a thing in Source 2. Instead, it uses a GPU culling technique to hide stuff that it thinks is out of view, making everybody's lives easier.
Smart.
So yeah, there's not too much else to say about the new Nuke. It's very much like the old one, but most surfaces now look much higher in resolution and are generally shinier. I'll end this video with some before and after break effects, which have also been improved or changed.
Oh, hell no. Bro, what is that? Oh, bro.
Break effects,
Looks so
which have
bad
also been
compared to this.
improved or changed.
Oh my god. Easy. But I don't like, I have to be honest, how it bounces back up. You know what I mean? That looks a little bit goofy. It looks like, hey guys, 1 minute paper, yeah, with another paper, and it's like, you know, it looks weird. Maybe just me.
The glass breaking effect is not the same as the glass in Half-Life Alyx. In CS2, it all appears to break in one go, just like it did in CSGO. But it now looks more
I don't know what would be a better, like, what would look better.
dramatic.
I think this just looks a little bit weird. I don't know how it like bounces and then it goes into nothing.
Actually, so.
Maybe it's too combobulated. You know what I mean? Because it's like the parts fall all the same way. Look. Yeah, it's that, I think. It has to be more discombobulated. You think I'm trolling, but I'm not.
So.
Look. They all go all the same pieces go into all the same directions. Yeah.
Fire in the hole.
Throwing a grenade.
Not too bad. Not too bad. W video as always. That was nice. Quick little like sum up on the new map. If you don't have the beta, I've heard that there's still some people who don't have the beta. I don't know how, but apparently that's just how it is. Was a nice fucking sum up. Nice fucking sum up. Zack. Leave 3 clicks some love, of course. If you don't follow him yet, follow him. And yeah. What else?